Hey y'all, we back with another one, man. I just had to completely start over. I touched my ear pod, man, and the music started going and messed up my video. So I'm gonna try to be a little quick with this, man. So basically, I'm covering the New England Patriots. I just kind of ran down their whole team, so I'm gonna do it again. Hopefully I don't mess it up this time, but overall, just real quick with the offense, just kind of looked at them. Mac Jones, he had a decent year last year. Well, no, take that back. It wasn't decent at all. 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, didn't eclipse the 3,000-yard mark. He was hurt for a couple of games, but I mean, when you put a first-round pick, a first-round investment, you expect a little bit more. So he's kind of leaning toward more of the bust career backup side. So he doesn't have too much longer. I think Belichick and them are, they're going to kind of try to remain patient with the young quarterback, but it just kind of remains to see what's going to happen in that case. Ramondre Stevenson is their biggest threat on offense, eclipsing 1,000 yards, even though he didn't start every game. New England doesn't typically have like just that feature back, more of a running back by committee kind of team. So we'll kind of see how they go with that. But running back room is solid behind Ramondre Stevenson. But I look for Ramondre to be he should be featured more. I think he's their best offensive threat. Going down with the wide receivers, Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Parker is getting up there in age, Tyquan Thornton. Juju had very good production last year. Didn't quite get over the 1,000-yard mark, but I think he had a bounce back year from Pittsburgh. The thing about Juju, since he put up about, I think his sophomore year, he had that real breakout year. Everyone thought he was going to be the next Pittsburgh Steeler wide receiver up, but he didn't quite live up to expectations once guys like Antonio Brown left, and he had to kind of be the man on his own. So I think that's more in Juju's nature. I think he would thrive a little bit better with being with a bona fide number one versus asking him to be the number one. Offensive line wise, Trent Brown is a very good lineman. Cole Andrews, but I don't know too much about Cole Strange or Mike Onwenu. They're guards. Let's look at them real quick. Again, I'm just trying to get through this offense. So, yeah, Mike Onwenu, he was someone that played for them a good amount. He had a lot of snap counts last year. Started all 17 games. So you kind of like that in your offensive linemen when they can start for you and they're not bouncing around the league, and they can kind of create some consistency. So he's a young guy too, going into his fourth season. So typically when you have guys like that, he was a tackle that was moved inside. So typically when you have guys like that, you can expect them to be solid to pretty good offensive linemen. No breakout Pro Bowl years yet, but I look for that to be a guy that'll be pretty good. Cole Strange. And New England's always been able to keep decent offensive lines. I think that's just Belichick with that old school mentality, just addressing that offensive line. But Cole Strange, another guy, 17 games, 17 starts. So I think interior-wise with David Andrews, consistency with the two guards having played all 17 games last year, I think you'll be okay. Riley Reef is, he's up there in age, so we'll see what kind of happens with Riley Reef. But Dave Andrews, again, like I said, he's been to a couple Super Bowls. Has been a mainstay there. So overall, I give their offensive line a B plus. Just depending on what happens with those young guards, that that could probably be a formidable group moving into the future. So not a bad offensive line. Definitely a lot worse out there. But, I mean, just with the lack of production from the receivers, not having that bona fide wide receiver, Mac Jones still trying to grow into his own as a quarterback. And then tight ends, Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. Those are guys also who one could argue have underwhelmed given what their draft status. And Hunter Henry was paid a pretty good amount of money, and I don't think he even eclipsed the 600-yard mark. So they have a decent offense. It's nothing really to be scared of. I think our defense is good enough to put pressure on offenses that are just decent, and you don't really have. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, like I said, I feel like is their biggest threat offensively, as skill player wise. But you know their offensive line will put up a good fight. I just don't trust Mac Jones and his pass catchers, including the tight ends, to really create too much of a threat. But we'll see how that goes. Looking at their defense, the Patriots run a 3-4. You know, you have some big names like Matthew Judon. They just drafted Christian Gonzalez at cornerback. Kyle Duggar is another name that I feel has kind of made a little name for himself. It's a name that pops out. Actually, I'm gonna go look up Kyle Duggar. But from there, it's not too many names on that defense. So I think offensively we can kind of put a little pressure on their defense. But yeah, man, Kyle Duggar, 3 interceptions last year. Tackles, he decent tackler. I think he might be more of a free safety type. I could be wrong. Let me check. Yeah, he's your strong safety. So he has decent tackles as a strong safety. Jabril Peppers is another guy who kind of had a name for himself. Didn't quite live up to what you think he would have did, but overall defensively, I mean, you still have Belichick there coaching the defense. So, I mean, you always got to kind of respect Belichick defenses, but you know, who knows? Let's see. Jabril Peppers, what did he do last year? Adrian Phillips is another name from that was a pretty decent name once upon a time. No interceptions from Jabril Peppers. He didn't play much last year. Well, he didn't start much. He was available in 17 games, but he didn't start much. But he's ahead of Adrian Phillips on the depth chart right now as we speak. Things can change and count. He's ahead of Jalen Mills. So safety room, man, pretty solid safeties. Jonathan Jones last year, the other cornerback, starting opposite the rookie Christian Gonzalez. Let's see. Jonathan Jones gave you. We had 4 interceptions last year. Kind of getting up there in age just a little bit, but he had a pretty decent year with 4 interceptions. Completion wise, only 52% of what he was targeted. Only 52% completion rate on him. So not a bad corner. So I think that Jonathan Jones actually and Christian Gonzalez could probably, the secondary is real decent over there in New England. If we look at their linebackers, Jawan Bentley, Jelani Tavia, Josh Uchi. I don't really need to go through Matthew Judon. I mean, if you know, you know. But Okay, so I need to learn how to say Josh Uche's name because he had 11.5 sacks in year 3. So him and Judon are a great tandem when you talk about outside linebackers. So Jelani Tavia, Jawan Bentley, and like this is why I like doing this, because I get to kind of educate myself on other team. Sometimes, you know, certain names don't really pop up because they're not the household names or the names that have been mainstays for a while. But yeah, Judon and Uche are definitely a great tandem. We'll check on Jawan Bentley. My little research phone's about to die here, so like I said, that's why I try to get through it as quickly as possible. But let me check on Bentley if I can, before my phone dies. But Jawan Bentley, he was on one of those New England Super Bowl teams, tackle-wise. Decent tackler. So you have some decent interior linebackers, some very good outside linebackers, edge rushers coming, you know, them running that 3-4. Lawrence Guy, Devon Godcho, and Dietrich Wise. A couple names that are I'm pretty familiar with. They give you, Lawrence Guy gave you 2 sacks. So I don't know much about and then moving forward, maybe I'll kind of research when I, you know, kind of run back over these teams a couple weeks from now. I will definitely look at more. 1.5 sack from the nose tackle, Devon Godchild. Pretty good tackle production. Playing that nose, Dietrich Wise. 7.5 sacks. So all in all, man, the Patriots, they have a real good defense in my opinion. When you have edge rushers. Oh, no, I said I need to really go over Matthew Judon, but let's see how many sacks he got. Because you're talking about 7.5 sacks from your right defensive end, 11.5 from your weak side linebacker, and Matthew Judon gave you 15.5 sacks. So, I mean, that's a lot of production. That's a lot of sacks. I think if the Patriots could get them an offense, a quarterback, try to get them a number 1 receiver, something they really haven't had in a long time, this team could be in a lot better position with a good coach like Bill Belichick. So you see defensively, Belichick is still handling his business. A lot of great production from Uche, Judon, Dietrich Wise, and then those other tackles and Guy and the other guy I just talked about, the nose tackle. They got you a couple sacks. So good team. Cornerback wise, Jonathan Jones was real decent in handling his business, and then you get a guy, first round pick like Christian Gonzalez, a very highly touted cornerback coming out. I look for that defense to kind of continue to hold that standard. And, you know, as far as our offense is concerned, matching up with them, we'll have our hands full definitely with the defensive, the front 7. Our offensive weapons will have some pretty good competition. When you talk about their secondary, it's going to really be incumbent on what that offense can do, and if that offense can overcome our defense. So in my opinion, I don't think their offense will be good enough to overcome our defense. I think they'll make mistakes and eventually make that defense of theirs kind of fold. I think you have a lot of dominant pieces on that defense, and it will make it hard on the offense, but just the offense has to play smart, not make many mistakes. And if you can kind of limit your mistakes and have your defense just go out and make their offense make mistakes, Mac Jones, contain Ramondre Stevenson, and be a little bit of a threat to their offensive line, then I think you can take care of your business. That's another game, though. That could be a sneaky one, though. It can be one of those games that, like when we rode into New England a couple years ago, and we had to kind of wait on some last-minute historics from, not historics, just heroics, some last-minute heroics from CD Lamb. If you can kind of put your guard up, respect this team, and understand what opposition they could pose, and just try to take advantage of Mac Jones, get inside of his head. Don't let, Trayvon and Stephon, they have to contain guys like Juju and Devontae Parker. Don't let them go out and have some of those outlier performances that they tend to have at times. I think you'll be all right. Don't let Kendrick Bourne beat you. Safeties, do your job. But overall, I think we should be real comfortable taking on the Patriots. It's just a matter of if we can make them make mistakes early and just run away with it versus keeping them in and giving them a little hope. And you still got Bill Belichick over there, so it's been another one, y'all. I'm gonna try to get out into this yard and maybe do a little swimming today. Go run the lot, go run the field. But man, y'all be easy. D Shift, we're out. Next up, we're gonna take a look at the 49ers. So y'all be good, man.